I think it was Johnny Carson who was long time ago at the Academy Awards, and he said to the audience, "You're in for a sparkling 2 hours entertainment over the next 4 hours." So I'm not intending on doing that. I've been asked to talk about the work, and there's this really unfortunate tendency these days for people to take that to mean, what is the work about? And I have absolutely no intention of addressing that whatsoever. What I would like to do is, I mean, about's a funny word, isn't it? Because it is sort of roundabout. I mean, it's not a very exact work. So I think I'll take my cue from that and just kind of meander a little bit. It's sort of interesting. I mean, when you've spent as much time as Stephen and as Mark has, and indeed as I have, being involved in ceramics, looking at ceramics, making ceramics, writing about ceramics, talking about ceramics, whatever, you tend to find that these objects sort of begin to follow you around. You know, it's almost like you're being stalked by ceramics. The history of this work here, to me, belongs to industry. So we are looking at something which has been made within the studio ceramics tradition, which is essentially a 20th century phenomena into the 21st century of artist craftspeople working alone, essentially, and making their work. This is ceramics that is sundered from industry. And yet, historically, what you were seeing and the phenomenal level of skill that has been applied to this work was something that was actually found in collective enterprises. So you would have the person that drew the particular flower, and you would have the person that modeled the beak on the bird. All of these people would come together under the guidance of a designer, and this work would be made in the great European but also Asian ceramics manufacturers. So I'm quite serious in saying that what you were seeing a couple of hundred years ago is the sort of skill levels that you would see in places like Meissen or Limoges or Spode or any of the great ceramics manufacturers. It's always sort of struck me as odd that we never in Australia ever developed that kind of work. I mean, I have worked in what passes here for the remaining ceramics manufacturing industries, but we never actually made the fine porcelain works, the highly decorated works. It more was just the vernacular pieces that we made, and other things were imported. So I'm not exactly sure then how the work arose, particularly in the context of South Australia in a certain era, because there is someone else, and I don't think Stephen and Mark would mind me mentioning this, but there is another maker of their era in South Australia, a man called Bruce Nuske. And together, I would say those three individuals do what no one else really can do in this country in terms of manipulating ceramics. I mean, it is of that level. It's quite extraordinary. The time that the work developed was associated with the advent of so-called funk ceramics, a sort of a style of sculpture of ceramics that came from the west coast of America. And there are comparisons made between this work and funk ceramics. I, again, tend to see less of that and more of an individual vision of people who look back further in time, who look back 100 years and who look back 200 years to what you would really say was the heyday of those great European ceramics manufacturers. I think that in funk ceramics, one of the essential characteristics is that of parity, but I would think that parity always diminishes in the face of consummate skill, because you are essentially looking at something that isn't a piss take, but it is actually very, very seriously intended and very, very skillfully done. I really can't think of anything else I should say about the work now that you would not be better off informed by talking to the artists who are present today. It's my great pleasure to declare the exhibition open. Thank you for coming.